T-shirts are super easy to size down, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to be fitting a shirt that I've owned for quite a few years now that I want to add back into my general wardrobe. I've had it in my pajama set for quite a while, but I do want to wear it outside again. As you can see, it is oversized all over, so the neck collar is larger than it would be on a fitted shirt, the sleeves go down to my elbows, the body is very baggy, and it used to be very long on me, but I cropped it a very long time ago. So it's sitting at the correct length for me, but I didn't finish those edges, so it's rolled up at the bottom and doesn't look very professionally done. So I will be going through each of these areas in turn until I have a shirt that I love. Starting out with the neck hole. To make the neck hole more fitted, I start by pinning the neck as tight as it will go while still being comfortable, and make a note of where that pin went for future reference. Don't worry, it will not end up this tight in the end product. I just do it this way so I know I'm definitely not going to take off too much of the size and won't strangle myself later on. Using that pin marker as reference, I draw a line on both sides of the collar the same distance away from the shoulder seam, and then use a ruler to mark a cut line a rule width away from those marks all the way down the back of the shirt. This will add in that breathing room, headroom and seam allowance that ensure the collar will not be too tight in the final fit. I then seam rip the base, collar piece and seam cover into 3 separate pieces that will later be sewn back into place separately. If you're not bothered about having a visible seam in the back of your collar, you can skip this step, but I have quite short hair so it doesn't cover any of the back of the collar, so I personally want it to be fully enclosed. After that, I just pin the 2 sides together, front sides facing each other, so I could try it on and then sew it. This is the last point at which you can adjust the size of the collar, so make sure you try it on to make sure that it has the fit that you want. With the fit checked, I then sewed the back seam into place from the top to the bottom, ignoring the collar and seam pieces for now. This step just makes the back panel whole again. Next, I sew the collar pieces together right sides facing each other, so you want to open the pieces and sew with the folds facing towards each other. This way, when it's folded back into place again, that seam will be completely enveloped inside the collar piece. Once the collar is a singular piece again, I can then sew the collar back onto the shirt following the original machine stitches. The same is then done for that seam cover piece. Mind you that not all shirts have this piece, so if it's not there you don't have to include it, but mine had it so I made sure to sew that back into place as well. Moving now on to shortening the sleeves and making the overall fit way less oversized. To start out, I mark where I want the sleeves to meet the shoulders. To do this, I set my elbow against my side and then bend my arm up to the furthest point I can mark. I found that this is a good way to find the flattering point for a sleeve to start, and it can be done on upcycle pieces like this and on pieces you're making from scratch. It's just a really easy tip to have. I did then pin the shirt around me to get the fit of the body, but I completely forgot to film this section. Luckily, it's basically the exact same I did for the collar, just on the body instead. With these 2 points marked, I then cut off the existing sleeve and excess side fabric about 1 centimeter away from those marks, following the exact same shape created by the sleeve and the side seam. I did this by eye, but if you're worried about it, I'd recommend drawing out the line first before cutting. And for this, I recommend using sewer's chalk and not a fabric marker, because you want to make sure that those lines are going to come off in the wash and not be on the garment forever. I personally use my chalk pen, that is the white pen that you've seen me using throughout this video. With the shirt now cut to size, I then sewed up the side seams, and then moved on to adding the sleeves back into place. To do this, you want to have the shirt right side out and slot the sleeve over the armhole right sides together, and then just follow the circle rim of the sleeve all the way around with your sewing machine. This is much easier to do on a stretchy fabric like this, so if your shirt isn't as stretchy as this one, I'd recommend seam ripping the bottom seam of your sleeve into a flat plane, sewing that onto the shirt first, and then closing the side seam and the bottom of the seam simultaneously. This means you won't have to sew in a circle at any point, which is much more easy to sew. With that, we have now finished the sleeves and the fitting, so we can move on to the end piece, which is the hemline. For this, you want to start out by cropping the shirt to exactly the length that you want it to end up. Unlike with the rest of the shirt, you don't need to add seam allowance to this, because the hem at the bottom will actually add the same amount of length onto it, meaning that your shirt won't end up shorter than your cut line. To ensure that your shirt does end up this exact length though, you do need to do a slight bit of maths, which is you need to cut out a piece that is the same width as your shirt, but 4 times the seam allowance. To get the seam allowance for your machine, you just have to measure from the needle to the outside of the foot, or you can use a general seam allowance of around 1.5 centimeters. With the hem piece cut out, you just then fold it in half and sew it all the way along the bottom of the shirt. I would also recommend top stitching the seam into place from the outside downwards. This will just stop the hem from flipping up at all while wearing the shirt. With all that said, this fitting project is now finished and I can show you the final result. I really hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you do think I need more information in future videos like this, please let me know down below in the comments so I can add more in later videos. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like down below and subscribe as I post a new video every single week, and I'd love to see you again. But until then, bye!